Quilters, I'm Lindy Smith. Welcome to our newest project for flash quilting, the Flash Basket. For this project, as you just read, you're going to need two 16-inch squares of coordinating fabric, and then you will need a 16-inch square of batting as well as 4 buttons. The first thing you want to do is place your fabrics right sides together and just line up the edges. Then you want to place your batting on top. And then you're going to sew a 1/4 of an inch seam all the way around the outer edge, leaving a 3 to 4 inch opening to turn this inside out. So I just have my 1/4 of an inch foot on, and I have left a space to leave a 4-inch space of an opening, and I am just simply going to sew around this edge. I am going to back stitch this just to make it a little bit stronger, and then I'm simply going to just sew my 1/4 of an inch seam all the way around. As you can see, this is the side that I started, and I'm simply going to stop and leave about a 3 to 4 inch opening here. Back stitch. So if you will trim your corners like so, just to get this extra batting out of the corners. Be careful not to cut your stitching. It will help the corners be more crisp. Now we're going to turn it inside outwards. And to do that, if you will reach all the way to the outer corner, like so, and just pull that one on through. And then you can reach into the other corner and pull that one through as well. Then we're going to lay this out flat like so. And I'm going to fold my seam under here and sew this opening right here shut by sewing as close to the edge as I can get. So now that I have this folded down where my opening was right here, I'm going to zoom in for you. I am simply going to sew that closed with just a tiny little stitch right on the very edge. And now you can hand stitch this if you want to. I'm going to switch my foot. So if you will take all of your edges and just take your fingers and go around them and roll the edges between them to level this up. It just makes it look prettier, and then go to your iron and press it so that it is pressed with these laying down really nice and flat. All right. Okay, so I am all pressed, and now I'm going to top stitch around the outer edge about a 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Before I do that though, I am going to test my stitch on a piece of scrap batting and backing and front to make sure that my tension is right. Be sure you do that as well. So if your tension is right, you will not have, I've got yellow on the front and purple on the back, and you won't see purple coming through to your front or yellow coming through to your back. Now I'm going to set my stitch length to 3.0. Now, as you can see, I have a pretty little top stitch all the way around. Now it's time to quilt this. Now these little baskets are flash baskets, as we're calling them. They are a perfect way to practice your free motion quilting. So I do highly recommend that you do that. If your machine will free motion quilt, set it up and free motion quilt. Your skills will increase dramatically by practicing on small pieces like this. So what better way to practice? If you do not have a free motion foot, and if you can't drop your feed dogs, then you can just do a simple crosshatch, sewing about every inch or 3/4 of an inch in both directions to get a nice dense quilting pattern in this. The denser the quilting, the stronger your little basket will be. So I've decided just to do a simple loopy design and do it free motion. And when you free motion quilt, or quilt in general, you should always start in the center of your project and drop your needle down and just pull up your bobbin thread to the top like so. Go right back in where you pulled it out at, or as close as you can get to that, and you want to take a couple of stitches in place just to lock your stitch, and then you can just start your free motion quilting. I place my hands like this whenever I free motion quilt, and then I just go for it. And the trick to free motion quilting is taking your time. If you turn corners too fast, you will get little eyelashes all over everything. What I'm going to do is choose which side I want to be on the inside of my basket, and I want the yellow to be on the inside of mine. I'm going to fold this in half and line up the edges like so. Get your squaring ruler and find 2.5 inches. This will make a 5 by 5 inch little basket. So I'm going to line the corner at 2.5 inches and the line running straight through my ruler or your ruler. And then I am simply going to mark this line because we will be sewing on this. And then I'm going to repeat and do the exact same thing over here. Find 2.5 inches, line up on the center line that's running right through my ruler at 2.5 inches on the edge here, and mark this one as well. So what I've done is I've marked a 45-degree angle here. And I'm just simply going to take it to the machine and sew on the line, back tacking up here and back down here at these corners.
Now I am simply going to sew. Now keep in mind that you are going through 8 layers of fabric, batting, whatever. So be patient with your machine and take your time. And now I'm going to back tack. And then I am just going to sew right on the line that I drew. And again, back tack. And we will repeat for this other side. We're going to do the exact same thing for these sides, these 2 corners. We're going to measure and mark, just sort of flatten that down. Line these up so that they are nice and even. And take your ruler, find your 2.5 inches again, lining your center line and your squaring ruler up with the edge of your fabric. This on, and I'm just going to mark my other side and get that one sewn as well. And so now, if we open this up, you can start to really see the little basket shape. Now we're going to enclose our seam. I'm going to first nip these corners off at a scant 1/4 of an inch. Make sure you got nice sharp scissors. The next step is to enclose our seams for a more finished look. So we're going to turn our basket inside out. So now we're going to sew just a little bit bigger than 1/4 of an inch, and that is to be sure that we get everything on the inside, all of the batting and edges that are right here. We want to make sure we catch them all. Start at the bottom of your basket. It'll make it easier to get a start. And back tack at the bottom. I have a cuckoo clock, y'all. And I'm just sewing a nice fat 1/4 of an inch, and I mean it's nice and fat, seam here and back tacking. And as you can see, there's my seam, and on the inside the basket now will look like this. And just repeat for all 4 corners, making sure the edge is out and it's rolled down for each one that you do. So at this point you can decide for sure which you want inside or outside. If I put my yellow to the outside, my seam is completely finished and does not stick out. If I put the purple to the outside, which was what my original plan was, as you can see, then I have these little edges like so on them. So I just simply have to decide which I like, what look I like the best. Then I'm going to take, once I've made my decision, my little box over to the iron, and I'm going to press this flap over just to help hold it in place for sewing on my buttons. So take a minute and decide which way you want yours to go. I decided that I wanted to make mine with my yellow on the outside. It's amazing how you change your mind, and purple on the inside. So now I'm going to sew on my buttons. Now you can sew on your buttons either using your machine or hand sewing it. Basically it's just tacking them on, so it doesn't make any difference what you choose. I like to machine sew, and I just use a zigzag stitch with my feed dogs down. Set my feet down, and I'm going to put this under, and then I just have to gauge what size zigzag stitch I need. So as you can see, I have my button under my presser foot, and my feet are down on this, and I have to make sure that I am not catching more than the 2 layers that I want to catch. And I'm just going to drop my needle in the center of that, and then I see where this one goes, and it just happens to fit my button perfectly. So I can just simply press my pedal now and sew. And that's really all it's going to need. And that's one button sewn on right there. And I'm just going to repeat for all the other sides. I simply line up the holes in my button to be straight with the zigzag stitch, and it works out perfectly. And I don't have to hand sew anything. Guess what? Hand sewing, not my thing. And just that fast, all 4 of my buttons are now sewn on, and my basket is complete. Be sure you post pictures of yours after you finish it. They are so adorable and so quick and easy to make. I mean, except for the quilting, you could make this basket in probably less than an hour. We hope you've enjoyed this project. We've really enjoyed spending the time with you today.